fresco. I write stuff. I kind of dabble in drawing now. That wasn't a plan this year, but it happened. And I broadcast too. And today is my final interview on the Just Joshing stream on Twitch. Won't be the last thing I do on Twitch this year, but it's my final actual live interview. And I'm with the one, the only, Carlie Yates.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing, Carlie?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm good. This has been a crazy first month for me. So
first month?
Yeah, this is a new format for the podcast, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was originally just an audio show, and I've done like 450 episodes of the audio show. So now I'm in so I decided, you know what? I always kind of wanted to do a talk show. So I kind of made this a talk show. And
That's
I figured,
fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you got life's too short. You gotta. This year for me has been like one of those lessons in life where you kind of look at it and go, okay, so it can end like that. So
yeah.
what really matters to you? Like, what's important to you? And are you willing to go out and go for it? Especially now, like, here's the thing, right? Like, this is, if anything, this has created more urgency for me, not less urgency, more urgency for me. So I'm like, well, I've always wanted to have a talk show. So I had two big goals with this show, which was I would go on the road. I would actually go meet people face to face, come to their place, wherever they're most comfortable, chat with them about their story. Because I'm not, like, I don't have a house or anything like that. So for me, it'd be like getting a mystery machine, like a Scooby-Doo thing. Totally, like, I totally could do that. Go across the country. And there's so many amazing people everywhere. And the cool thing is everybody's got a really good story, right? So that was what I made the decision to do. But right now, I'll be good right now in terms of the fact that this is a time to pause and reflect, at least for another. I get the feeling that the lockdown part of this comes to an end next year sometime. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to be out of the woods exactly, but we're going to be out of the lockdown phase, I think, next year, one way or the other. I think what happens after that, we'll see. But that does mean, though, that while I'm in this position right now, working in this pause, you might have to do what you want to do. You know what I mean? You might have to just go for it, do it, and just go for it, because life is short, man, on time, but it's long on possibilities. That's kind of that's my whole philosophy about it going in.
Oh, it's a damn good philosophy.
Yeah.
I like it.
You like it? You like it? So I've been opening my big mouth for 5 minutes here. We got to get you talking here. So let's get this has been typically my opening question whenever I do this on the audio. So I'll do it for you. So if you have anything incriminating you'd like to add, make it good.
Incriminating?
Yeah, we're live. We gotta get the good stuff out, right?
Oh my God, I don't have skeletons in my closet. I have a graveyard. I mean,
that means you got life stories. That's awesome.
Yes, I do. I mean, I think one of the funniest yet worst things that a friend of mine and I did, there were a couple of really sweet guys up in Canada, and they were like, we want to come and visit the States. What do we need to know about laws and stuff? And we said, oh, the stop signs with the white line around them, they're optional.
Mm-hmm. White light, they're optional?
Yeah, the stop signs with the white lines around it, all of them have white lines around them.
Stop is optional. I thought, see, this is what I always thought. I thought green was go. Wait was pause. Red was go faster. No, that's not the right way of doing it. No, that's not the right way. Yellow's the way. Okay, I get it. Yellow is you go faster, and then okay, gotcha.
And if you're going through it and it's red, it's actually purple, right?
Sure. You know what? Yeah, we'll say, hey, listen, I don't judge. I don't. I learned a long time ago that it's important not to judge people, because really you don't know. No one does. So your shoes are your shoes. You've seen a lot, done a lot, I'm sure, and we're going to talk about a little bit of that. I already get this feeling with you. I get this feeling that you decided you've been through stuff, some cool stuff,
Yeah.
some not so good stuff.
Yeah.
So, and it's all led you to start telling stories.
Oh, yeah. Well, I started telling stories actually when I was back in the fifth grade because I had this. Uh, my friends and I were reading The Outsiders and devastated by the end of it. And I was like, oh, I could make it better. Like anybody could make that story better. You can't. But here I am in fifth grade, and my first challenge was to write the story where I changed the ending of this amazing book. And I did it. And it was over 300 pages of handwritten fifth grade folly.
Awesome.
And that's what started me. But what really got me into writing the intricacies of relationships is having been through several disastrous ones, you know. Um, and I write romance, and you have to make it fun and make it relatable and make it emotional and make it different every single time.
Well, see, here's the thing. I think a lot of people. So my experience with the romance genre happened in
Mm-hmm.
Alberta because I was friends with a darling woman by the name of MJ and Colette. Hey, MJ, and how you doing? And the thing about her was she wrote romance, queer romance, and very she's exotic even in the romance community. But through her, I got to meet a whole swath of writers in that genre. And other than making me blush like a schoolboy, because they're all good at that. They're all you guys are all great at that.
Cha-ching.
Yes. Well, the whole concept. Yeah. Well, we'll get to it. I'm sure at some point. But the best sex usually involves some form of storytelling anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
and that's. And and storytelling is the foundation. A big foundation of love and romance, and whether it's the classic romantics or whether it's the more,
Right.
or it's a big part of it. It's actually the better. It's the best parts of it actually is telling that story,
Yes.
and um you guys don't get the credit you deserve because honestly, people crave that stuff. It's a big part of literature no one talks about.
Oh
But,
no, it's taboo to, like romance. I mean, come on.
well, the thing is, everybody likes romance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And some of the best authors out there, that's what they write.
Hmm.
Colleen Hoover, Tamara Weber, Lavrell Spencer, they all wrote or write romance. And they're amazing novels with amazing stories with so much emotion behind them. More than just sex, I promise.
Well, no. Well, so I
Bless
read
you.
fantasy. I read fantasy. Right? Oh man, I went down the wrong toe. Okay. Anyway, I'm fine. I swear. Um,
Okay.
but
Oh no, you
the thing is,
froze.
like, if you look at, are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here. Are you here?
I'm
Okay,
here.
there
Yeah,
we are.
there's a momentary pause. Okay, so what I was saying is, like, you look at fantasy. The foundations of fantasy are Arthurian romances. Romance and fantasy, the genre, aren't that different actually, right? They're not. Like you look at Percival, which is basically the basis of everything from Spider. Okay, first of all, which is the basis of everything from Spider-Man to any hero like Joseph Campbell's heroics, the hero's
Mm-hmm.
journey. That was done in the 1200s. And it's a romance. It's not. It's fantasy kind of like what we consider fantasy, but there's a
Mm-hmm.
romantic story to it, and romance has been a big part of literature for as long as there have been stories. It's one like love has always been one of the big things about telling a story. It always has
Yes.
been and always will be. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I've got, I've got different, like I've got my rock star romance. But I also have like telling the story of coming of age. I love, love, love writing coming of age stories. And one of the big things about those is your first love.
Hmm.
And it's but I also like to introduce things of social issue nature, like the my entangled series. I apologize. My entangled series. It involves themes such as mental illness and domestic violence and consent and deep issues, but at that core is that relationship, is the relationship between this boy and this girl who end up really learning how to love one another and love themselves in the process.
Well, that's the thing, that's the best. Like, I mean, love is crazy, but we all
Yes.
we all have this tendency to, we all want it. You don't choose who you fall in love with. You, more often than not, it kind of finds its way to you, and you kind of go, well, this is not who I expected to be loving right this minute, right?
Hmm.
It's very much, that's very much the thing. And like, I remember, like, when I, like, the first, I didn't fall in love until a little bit later in my life, but it would not, like, it's not someone I expected, but like that armor just, she walked right through it like it wasn't even there, and it was like, okay, that was the greatest. It was the
Yes.
biggest roller coasters of my life, and it's also, I realized it brought out things in me that I never knew were there. And that's the best thing. That's the
Hmm.
cool thing about love, is it forces you to confront. Again, it adds layers to you that you never would find on your own. And I think that's one of the reasons why, as a species, in general, human beings value relationships of all kinds, because what tends to happen, whether it's romantic or platonic or whatever the case may be,
Hmm.
that drive for connection is what motivates us to do things. And I find that, when you focus on that motivation, when you focus on
Right.
that care, um, that's the heart of not just romance, the genre. That's the heart of most stories, actually. It's not the trappings. It's that real life relationship stuff
Yes.
that really, really draws you in. One of my favorite, quote, urban fantasy slash romance novelists is
Hmm.
Alana Andrews. It's a husband and wife team, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're husband and wife. The Kate Daniels series is awesome. I think it's a great series. It's not all parts of it were written for me, but it's a good bridge series. If someone is, I'm never gonna read an erotica, right, or a full
Right.
blown erotica. It's just not me. But would I read a love story? Yes. Why? Because I've seen how they could be done by someone like Alana Andrews, or someone like there
Oh,
are people
yes.
that do that do, and the relationship between Kate Daniels and Karan is the foundation of the entire series, and they never deviate from that, start to finish. So you get that relationship, you get the courtship, and the fact that how they drive each other absolutely fucking crazy, right?
Yes.
Right? But they also love each other, and they build and become stronger when they're together, which is, again, the ideal. Like, when you,
Yes.
I think, I mean, Lord knows we've all made the mistake of thinking anything but our brains when we pick our partners sometimes. Yeah, and then, the wall of shame right there. You see that walk of shame stories around there. But the thing about that is, okay, we all make those mistakes. I think what happened, and I think that what tends to, um, I think what happens with us is with relationship. And this is something I learned with my first relationship. It was a great experience, but I want a different kind of relationship. And then the next relationship I had after that was a different relationship still. And that one, although it was very brief, it was very, I really enjoyed it, and we're still really good friends now. It's just one of those
Hmm.
things where right place, but not quite the right time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, so, but the thing about it is, I mean, but that was closer to what I'm looking for. And then the next relationship, whenever that shows up, or if it right, will be different. And I've learned different things about what I look for in people, but also how
Right.
more importantly, how I want to be treated going forward. Because
Uh-huh.
it's not, you gotta like what you see. We all kind of like what we all have to like what we see. But really, what at this point, what I really care about beyond that vanity is, are you interesting enough that I want to keep talking to you? Are you
There
interesting
you
enough that I want to have fun with you beyond beyond sex? Is there an actual connection,
go. Mm-hmm.
right? Or is it just because if it's a flash in the pan, eh, you know?
So, question: do you believe like in love at first sight per se?
I think it's possible. It didn't quite happen to me when I fell in love,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's someone I liked physically, but I didn't really. It's just one of those things that kind of happened over time. Do I think it's possible I could see somebody? It's like, and I when I've been with women, sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
will meet someone and I know there's a connection there.
Yeah.
Like I know I can feel that, and they feel it too. It's one of those things that I notice that when you have a connection like that with somebody, it's usually mutual. It's one of the it's very rarely one sided,
Mm-hmm.
but you both feel it. Now, what you do with it's another story. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end up together. What it means is
True.
there's a potential connection, or there's something we both have that we need from each other. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's a full match made. There's so like a relationship. That's the thing about what I've learned about what little I do know about relationships is it's not just about how great you guys get along when things are good. It's also about, do you trust each other enough to be
Oh,
weird?
trust is a big thing, and to be weird, that is fantastic. I love that analogy. I love
Yeah,
it.
well, it's true.
Love it.
Look. Kids act out in school, right? And
Yes.
the reason, no, the thing is, why do kids act out in school? It's not because they sometimes it's about attention, but more often than not, they're comfortable enough in that environment to fully be themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a good thing. That's actually that's a blessing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Now, you might have to discourage certain aspects of that behavior, and that's where being a parent or a teacher comes into play. But when a kid is acting out in your class or in your
Mm-hmm.
home or in wherever they are acting out, they feel comfortable enough to do that. Relationships are like that too. Look, can I be comfortable enough with you to be incredibly silly with you? Yes. I want to be good. I want to be a dork with you because I am a dork and I'm totally good with being a dork. I have to be that. I can't not be myself. And if I'm not comfortable enough to be myself around you, we can't have a relationship. We can be friends maybe, but that, like, in terms of dating, you can't. You just can't. Like, and that's something I've learned really quickly. It's like I'm either going to be completely me and they're going to be okay with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it ain't going to work.
True.
And
I know that, well, with my ex-husband, I met him at work. It was an office full of women, and this one man was sitting in there, and I was his trainer. And he turned around and said, "How you doing?" I said, "Oh hell," because I knew in that moment. I knew I was done for. Of course, I was done for several years, but that connection, that right away when you're able to be completely yourself and just be as silly or as crazy or as I'm a very quiet, introverted kind of person. And if my silences are comfortable, that's when I know. And if I'm able to really get silly, then I really know.
Yes.
Because,
Because now you're comfortable, like in the best way, like you trust that situation, and
yes.
that's the real secret. It's not like I want to find someone that can torment me a little bit, and someone I can torment as well, right? There's have to be a mutual give and take there. It can't be just one way. But
Right.
I reckon that, like, again, as I've gotten older slash wiser, we'll find out. Lord knows I'll probably I haven't I like it to be perfectly fair with myself, right? That long I have no idea. Like I'm speaking from a little bit of rose-colored glasses, because like the long-term relationship thing has not really found itself with me to the same degree. But I've realized just watching and observing different things,
Mm-hmm.
that it's not about control.
No.
It's not about the idea in your head. It's more often it
Exactly.
right. It's not about that. It's about can you and that person, no matter who it is, can you be comfortable being yourselves around each other? Can you put up with each other's bullshit? And can you always feel engaged with this person in one way or the other? You don't necessarily, even some days there are couples I know that don't like each other some days. They don't, but
Yeah.
but again, it's being, again, learning what I do know about love. Love isn't always
Right.
all the lovey dovey. I love you, and you still
No,
like.
it's not always like that.
Oh God, no! Actually, if I ever hear that, now I know why people cringe when they hear that, because that's not really, that's only a very tiny part of how that works.
Yeah.
Um, we
I feel the more that people have to show others that they love this person, the less genuine it is, because it shouldn't be about what you show other people. It's what you show this person that you're with.
Absolutely, absolutely, like that's what it's about, and it's also having that confidence just to kind of go, okay, you know what, this is what we're doing. This is how it goes. And
Hmm.
if you don't like it, oh well. Like that right. It's not about anybody else. It's about you, and it's about them, and that's it. And like I said, I'm also wise enough though to see that, like, it's not always meant to last forever. Like growing together in a
Right.
relationship. That's the real working one. It's not. The courtship can be very fun, but you're always courting, and if you're not,
If you stop, the relationship kind of goes.
yeah, it's over. It's over. If I do end up with someone, I'm always going to try to impress her. That is always going to be in the back of my mind, because the moment I stop, it's done.
I think also trust is one of the hardest things to come by, but one of the easiest things to lose.
Hmm.
And once you lose it, that's if the trust is gone, where's the relationship? Is
That,
there one?
that's true in any relationship.
Yes.
That's not even romantic. That's just even friendships. Um, a few years ago, I had a friend who I don't think realized what they fully did, and it damaged
Hmm.
trust. And they damaged it in two ways. They revealed a very, very small but devastating little white lie. But then they also reinforced the fact that they do it again, which put me in a very awkward spot with them. And I never could resolve it, because they basically told me not to trust them. And I don't think they realized that's what they did. But when they did that, it was like, but it taught me a lot about people. But it also like it once that trust was gone, it like I realized, like, I could not. The friendship was damaged, and
Hmm.
because it was damaged, um, and because we never really settled up, and eventually the friendship eventually eroded, because it's one of those situations where if you don't deal, that mistrust festers, and it applies in business, that applies in like friendship, that applies in relationship, like any relationship you can imagine. The foundation and currency of it is trust. Hard to come by, easy to lose.
Do you feel though that, say, a relationship implodes, and the trust is eroded, is there any way to get it back?
Yes, but it takes a lot more work. You have to come to a point. You have to come to a point where both sides have to recognize what happened, right? Because it's in their defense that wasn't their intention, and I know it wasn't their intention, right? It's one of those things where the way it happened created a trust issue.
Right.
So that has to go differently. The result, what they wanted, though, wasn't really the issue, and I was being a little bit of a bitch about it. And that's just me being very honest about like my own flaws and fables as a human being. But once again, it comes down to trust. You broke, whether you intended it or not. There's an impact to all your actions, right? Intentions and impact can't be argued with. If I intend good things, doesn't change the fact that I hurt you, right?
Right.
Intentions and impact can't be argued with. What can be discussed is how those impacts and intentions are interpreted. And that's where communication ultimately comes into play. And this sounds really simple. I know it's not.
Oh, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, but that's the foundation. That's the foundation of every relationship. If you can be open and honest and communicate whatever happens, you can rebuild trust. It can happen. It doesn't take a whole, and sometimes it doesn't even take a long time. It's just it, but you have to at some point acknowledge the issue. And if that's,
say it's a relationship and the other person was emotionally cheating on you.
Well, why they cheat? Cheating is cheating is an interesting one because usually, okay,
usually it's just a symptom.
Well, it's usually a symptom to a bigger problem. But the thing is, what's the problem? It's ultimately a communication issue. If I'm cheating on you, it's because you're not doing something. Something we did in the past is not happening. Something that happened in the past is no longer there. So what does that mean? That could be a lot of things. Like also, it could be just an evolution. It can be an evolutionary thing. I'm somewhere else. You're still not somewhere else, and things happen. That's why long distance relationships almost never work because it's such a hard thing to keep that connection when you have other things going on, and it's very easy.
No! I'm losing my connection. Okay, I got it back.
Woohoo! So when you get to when cheating, I never condone it, but I've also realized this too. Usually when there's a cheating issue going on both ends, there's usually a bigger problem somewhere that's not being resolved, or maybe it can't be resolved. Like sometimes the situation I've seen this with married couples, that divorce is going to cost you a ton of money both ways.
Yes.
Do you really want to give up that comfort? Maybe not. Maybe. So what you both decide to do is you have show, and then you have what it really is. That happens. It does. It's a very common thing in relationships. I've seen it plenty of times. When you find someone and it's really easy to see when you have that. Now, sometimes I've seen the other end where relationships are really healthy. There's communication. Both sides have needs. They're both there, like partners are there for each other through thick and thin, right? But usually, ultimately, when I look at cheating, it's people slip up. Sometimes it's the situation too. Sometimes things happen. That's a hard thing. And honestly, I can't blame if someone says we're done. I can't blame that person either. It's one of those situations where um, I can look at it and kind of go, okay, I understand why you can't continue this relationship. I do. If someone's willing to forgive, is it possible? Yes. Does it happen often? It really depends on the person. And also,
Yeah.
there's so many kinds of relationships out there these days that I can look at it and kind of go, you know, there's different rules. I think the important thing is trust and honesty. And like honestly, it sounds incredibly simple, but I've seen people with open relationships, like with people that are not polyamorous. That's the word I was looking
Yeah.
for there. I've seen a lot of that, and although there's not really a clear definition, ultimately, if the difference between I'm cheating on you and this is a polyamorous relationship is that open communication between the partners going, hey, listen, I'm going to go off and do something for a few days or a week or whatever the case may be, and the partner being okay with it. Again, there's a degree of trust and understanding the boundaries of your partners because every partner has different boundaries and you have to respect those things very much.
Could you be in a relationship like that? I don't think I could. I don't know. I don't share well.
I'm the honest answer to that. Maybe. Um, Once upon a time, the answer would have been no. Once upon a time, the answer would have been no. I'm I'm very much goal driven. I'm very much a wanderer by my very nature. So I'm not the easiest guy in the world to live with, and I get that. So I'd have to find somebody like me. There's one or two possibilities for me. I find someone like me who wants to go and explore and do things for a good long time, and eventually maybe we figure out where we're going to settle down. Or maybe we never settled down. My uncle was a photographer that toured the world with his photographs, and his wife went with him all over the world. And that was their life. They never really that traditional life never existed for them, and it worked for them beautifully. But finding that's hard. You don't know, like that's not an easy thing. Finding that for a time is definitely possible though. And like I said, it would vary. Like if I know going in that the person I'm with, I'd have to know what they're looking for, and I'd have to be okay with it. And if I found I couldn't live with it, do I have the honesty to walk away from it? And the answer is yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I put some thought into this, as you can see. So
I appreciate it, and I appreciate your openness and honesty.
Yeah.
It's a nice, refreshing change of pace to be able to have this conversation with someone who is a male, quite honestly, because most males don't like to speak about relationships in this way that I have come across.
Well, it's because I've interviewed so many different people. I've seen so many different lifestyles, and there comes a point where you look at it and go, "Who am I to judge? Do I think everything I've seen works? No, I really don't. But I also recognize that it's not about me. It really isn't, and I've learned this. So I'm a lot more, and I'm looking at the fact that the world we live in, the rules we live by, it's a rigged game. It's a really rigged game, and I can't look at anybody or judge anybody for whatever they're going to do to make themselves happy. Life's hard enough. Life's really, really hard enough.
Yeah.
I've seen people that have had multiple partners at the same time. I've had people that have been together with one person since high school, and they're in love and they're happy and all that, and wonderful. You know what? Great. That if you found that, kudos to you, because that's a very rare thing. Um, for most people, I've noticed this. It's like, hey, I'll fall in love. I'll go get married. 5 years later, what the fuck was I thinking? Right? And, right.
Yeah.
And you realize that maybe you weren't thinking at all. That's okay. That's not what. It's better to try and fail than not try at all.
Yeah, true.
My dad would
I
argue against that, but I've learned that on this one, I think maybe at some point broken hearts do mend if you're willing to let them. So, and that's it, and it's okay to fail. Listen, most of us are going to be poor our whole lives. Most of us, 90% of this planet's poor, right? And to have the 10% that actually have anything, it's not usually. There's only about 9% of that has a little, and then the rest of it, and then it's like that 1% that has absolutely everything. So, and even though 1%, I've noticed this, like they don't usually have relationships. They are isolated and alone on top of a mountain. I don't necessarily want that. And I interview again. Look at what I do. I interview people. What am I building? Community and relationships. That's what this is. So you gotta be very honest about what you want.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so introverted. I mean, the written word is what's easy for me to come and speak. Sometimes my brain is going a million miles a minute, and my mouth is going down. Wait a minute. Wait. Let me write it down, and it's hard. But the relationships, yeah, I crashed and burned. I've crashed and burned badly. I ignored red flags. You know, it's totally my fault for getting into it, even though the red flags were all there. I mean, so less than a month before we got married, this guy, God love him, we have 2 kids together. So part of me is always going to love him. But less than a month before we got married, he stole my credit card and went on a bender and stayed the night in a hotel. And I'm like, oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. I'll marry you. What the fuck was I thinking?
So this is what I've observed about people, both sides.
Okay.
So I've recognized. I've recognized this for myself, and I've recognized, and I go back to the gal I fell in love with. We don't fit. There are things about us that fit very well together, but there are other things that don't. And I was trying to be something I wasn't. And the reason I was trying to be something I wasn't was because I wasn't confident enough in myself at that time to be myself. And if I were to make an observation about this particular individual with you, it sounds very similar. You knew, but you did it anyway. And the reason you did it anyway was because at that time, how old were you, by the way, if you don't mind when you did this?
How old was I? You see, Marcus was born when I was 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 at the time.
Okay. So what I found was in my 20s, I had no confidence. In my 30s, I had a better sense of who the fuck I was. I'm approaching 40. So now I'm at that point where it's like, fuck it, I know who I am. I'm just embracing it. I'm just going for it because I don't care. And if someone comes with me, great. If someone doesn't, that's okay. Most of us don't hit that point. I may not end up with anybody, and that's something I recognize too. It's like to be very perfectly blunt, I may not. I'm a very unique kind of cat, and I realize that for a lot of women, I'm not the guy for them because although I think I'd be a great dad, and again, I'm not above having kids at this point in my life. I'm really not. I also recognize the fact that for all of that, there are parts to me that are kind of wild and free, and not
Mm-hmm.
every woman I'm going to meet is going to want that. I don't care about a house. I don't, but not for me. Kids,
Right.
maybe, but for me, no. Why? Right? I don't care about the American dream in any way, shape, or form.
Mm.
I'm here to do what I want to do, and because I ain't gonna carry any of this shit with me in the next life anyway. So fuck it, right? So so that's how I look at it. I'm gonna do what I want to do and not worry about anything else. Not everybody has that mentality. Everybody's like, well, I gotta be secure, I gotta settle down, I gotta build a family. Like, and again, if you got a family, that's a different thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a very different thing. But if you are if you're a if you're me, then you just got you to worry about. Maybe again a partner to worry about. The other thing, well, we're both adults. What do we want? Let's go get it. Let's do work together. Let's kick some ass.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's over, we'll find something else worth getting, and we'll repeat this process over and over again until we take over the world. That sounds very, very, simplistic, but that's how I see it. I don't see it like it's not about the house. I don't care about the house. It's not about the car. I don't care about the car. What's it gonna get me? Like what why am I doing this? What is in this for me? And again, anybody that has a house or a car listening to this or watching this, I don't kudos to you. This isn't a knock on you. It's just for me
No.
personally, it is for me personally. I'm by myself. I don't care. So, and I just won't care on my own. Somebody else might care and might give me a convincing argument. Like, for example, I get a house if a house served the purpose of, like, okay, like we're doing a podcast here right now or a broadcast here right now, depending on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
If I could bring guests in, someone to really feel comfortable at home, it's a studio. The thing is, I'm not just using a house to live in. I'm using a house to make money or pursuing my passions and my dreams at. It
Right.
serves another purpose besides a place to sleep, because you can sleep anywhere. Truthfully,
True.
right? So and that's how I see it. Now again, kids, completely different equation. Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
You're a completely different equation. But by myself, like why? Like why would I want those things? I want to do interesting things and meet interesting people and hear their stories and tell my stories and communicate and build a wonderful, wonderful community that's like worldwide. That's what I want to do.
Uh,
I don't need a place for that. A community can be anything you imagine it to be, right?
exactly. And that's it's kind of what I'm trying to teach my children, to not care about material things per se, other than what you need to live to survive. It's the experiences out there that's going to make your life worth it.
Mm-hmm. Let's hope.
And well, of course, they're the two that I have at home, because I have a total of three boys. The two that I have at home are on opposite ends of the autism spectrum. So my life is never boring.
No, no, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be at all.
uh, oh, I've got a really bad connection. Oh no.
But
All
I
right,
still
there you
got you.
are.
I got you. I got you. If we lose it, we can always restart this. Right?
Okay.
You can always come back. You have my link and your Facebook, so don't worry about it. So, but here's my question for you. Since we
Hmm.
were right, was I dead on the confidence?
Oh God, yes. It was. I had none at that time. I'm a late bloomer because I just turned 49, and now I'm at the point where, like, I don't give a fuck. This is who I am.
Everybody hit that
This
point.
is. And it's the most beautiful point to hit in this world.
Oh yes, it is. Oh God, yeah, it's glorious because at that point nothing can hold. Like, you can kind of tell I'm already there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That's
already there.
fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful because you don't have any limitations anymore. It doesn't matter what anybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's fun. Like I'm currently house sitting for my dad while I'm here, which is a nice way of saying I'm currently living at home, kind of, sort of, right now during this pandemic. But
Mm-hmm.
on the flip side, I mean, I didn't have to. I made a choice to try to become a freelancer, and that's what I've been trying to do. This is why I'm doing this show like here right now, and I'm being very
Mm-hmm.
blunt about it. If it doesn't work out, I've given myself to a deadline. If it doesn't work out, I go back to school. I take broadcasting, and maybe I go back to school in fucking the Philippines. I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do at this point. I'm not, and everything else is just simply a problem to be solved. That's it. I truly do not care, and that's that's where I'm at. Like, it's not about anymore. Um, I have my own expectations to fulfill, and my expectations are I'm going to pursue what I love to pursue. Fuck everything else, and if it don't work out, so there's this like real thing is I can go to a coast, either east or west, and I can go fishing and I can drink and probably hit on women, hit on women a little young or a little old for me, and I won't care, and that's life. I'm totally good with that, right? At this point in my days, I'm either going to succeed or I'm not going to worry about it when it's over. I'm going to give it
Mm-hmm.
my best effort to be the best me I can be, and everything else is everything
That's
else.
fantastic. Yes.
I can't control
And
it. I don't care. If you love me, great. If you don't, you don't. It doesn't matter. What matters is I'm doing what I love, and I can look in the mirror and I can love what I see on the others. When I look at the mirror, I can look at myself and say great things about who I am and what I've accomplished.
how many people can do that?
That actually was about to ask, can you do that?
Uh, I can now. I can now. I
Good.
mean, and it's more than, you know, I didn't want to go into publishing books and have somebody else rip that creativity away from me. I didn't want to hand over a manuscript to somebody and have them take out 30, 40,000 words and slap a different title on it and hire somebody else to do some artwork and put it out there. I wanted to do this myself. And because this is my life and this is my work,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hiring who I want to hire. I hire the editors I want to hire. I hire the cover artist I want to hire, and I put it out myself. And if it makes it, it makes it. If it doesn't, that's okay because I did it, me. And I couldn't have done that before.
It sounds to me like you've become a gangster. It's okay. Gangster Carlie. I
Damn,
like it.
feels good to be a gangster.
That's right. Gangster Carlie. Right. I think we can go with that. No, like publishing, like right now, like to me, like I have in my head right now, I got two more books I got to release, and then I'm gonna have four different series, a graphic novel.
Nice.
Yeah. So first two series are out. Cloud Diver Level 1. My illustrator just had a kid, so I'm kind of like putting that level 2 on hold. But in the
Mm.
meantime, so I got a novella coming out called Lights Out. It's my homage to Fahrenheit 451 and Nightfall. It's my little homage, right? We
Nice.
the world's a light bulb. Like literally, like our world is literally a light bulb. If the lights went out tomorrow, we'd be all foolbarred. And that's how fragile our world has become. And I thought I'd play with it and honor one of my favorite writers of all time. So there's that. Following that, I've released Alice in Wonderland as a Greek myth. Alice is Pandora. She opens the box in a certain Cheshire. That's already out. That's 2. 3. I have a comic book. I just started illustrating. I've been doing drink and draws on my page. If you have actually watched them, you really should.
Drink and draws. I love it.
Yeah, well, it's how I face my fears, right? It's how I face my fears. It's like fuck it. If I suck, it's great. I've had some great people come on and draw, and it's been a blast. It truly has been a blast to do it. But it's again getting out of my comfort zone, discovering who I like. You're never too old to discover new things about yourself, and I keep discovering things. I want to do comics. I got a comic in my head about a dragon that makes fun of the artist that draws him. So I get to make fun of myself.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You're right. You're right. Right. So I got that, and I got another series. It's a badass woman coming from a group called the Night Witches. Night Witches were Russian soldiers during World War II that terrorized Nazis, and they were women. They were one of the baddest asses like troops. Period. They literally they lost 40 troops. They terrorized the Nazis in the night. They had wooden planes and they kicked all kinds of ass. So someone of that mindset, I was originally not a very good person. So it's like my Parker, my Quantum Leap, and honoring some truly badass people at the same time, right? And having a blast. I'm having fun. Fuck everything else. That's how I'm doing. I'm not right. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to become my own little corner of fun and wonder and magic, and I'm going to invite everybody to come play with me. But if you don't come play with me, that's fine too. I'm still going to have fun, and that's how I'm treating it. So it sounds to me like you have a similar thing. Like you said, you know what? This is what I love. Fuck everything else.
Exactly. I'm doing it my way. If I go down in flames, those flames are going to be hot, and I'm going to love every second of it.
So so this is the thing. I learned this year being a freelancer. So I'm going to call you Miss Gangster. Is that okay if I call you Miss Gangster?
Absolutely.
Are you cool with that? Okay.
Okay.
Miss Gangster, I don't want you to imagine yourself failing. This is something I had to learn. I want you to imagine yourself succeeding. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do next? Like, what is Carlie Yates' goal? Right? What is the gangster's goal in this publishing domain? What do you want to accomplish?
I want to get out the entire Time Stand Still series. And part of that is there's a 2-part at the end of the series that is a total of 400,000 words. It's a lot. The series is huge.
You got a brick.
I want to write any genre I feel like writing.
I don't
want to be stuck in a niche. I don't want to have to get a different pen name to write a different genre because this is me. And if you can't accept me, well, it's too bad, so sad, sorry about your luck.
Yeah.
There's a friend of mine whose daughter is looking for LGBTQ books, and the male is represented quite a bit, but female is not. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna write it.
Sure.
And I'm going to.
That's
under
right.
my name.
Yeah, that's totally fine by me. Look, I own life short. This is about you being you and just going for it, man. That's it. Like that's when the apocalypse hit. I was like, how can I make money in this bitch? That was literally the mentality I like I've had the whole time. And also, how can I be inspiring? How can I be kind? How can I be who I am?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm not trying to be anything else. I'm not trying to be, this guy that I'm trying to be me. And I'm like, especially when it's going great, it's easy to be absolutely like passionate and positive and wonderful. But when you're struggling, when everybody's not sure what tomorrow's going to look like, that's when you know who you really are. That's when you learn and discover just the differences. Like what you learn what matters, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But you also learn that you also learn who you are. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is the most interesting thing about this time is we've come to the point, I think, in this where we've almost come to the point where we're still having those maddening moments because the psychology of the lockdown thing isn't really sound. But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the grief part of this, I feel, is if we haven't gotten, we'll never be used to this, but I feel like we've gotten to the point where there is a degree of normalcy to this. Good, bad, or indifferent, there's a degree of it. So I, 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 I look at it kind of like, okay, we're past the grieving stage for a good chunk of us. We've been doing this for 9 months. We're deep into this now. Grieving, I mean, some people are still grieving, and that's totally fine. But for the majority of people, it's like, okay, now what? Who are we gonna be? What are you gonna go for? What are the possibilities now? And I realized, even if I don't have a pot to piss in, and I don't right now, I really don't care. I'm just gonna do what I love and fuck it. And that's kind of where I've hit that. That's who I am, and I can't. I'm not gonna change that at this point.
Do what you love and love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the best way to be. I wasn't that way for a very long time. I let others' opinions and it isn't their opinions were driving me. It was my fear of what their opinions could be or what they might say, and you can't live like that. It
Were
you
you afraid?
can't.
Were you afraid of sucking? Like, or were you afraid of that too?
Well, yes and no, because I am my own worst critic. I am. Um, but it's more what are people's opinions going to be as far as what genre you write, or because the second you say romance writer or romance novelist, they're like, oh.
And going back to something we said at the very beginning, it's funny what people think it is and what it actually is are very
Very
different.
different. And Harlequin has such a bad reputation because the way people talk about it. That, oh, they're just reading those. It's porn for women. No, no, I don't write erotica.
But here's the thing, like, because I've read some dark fantasy, and I've read dark fantasy that it's pretty graphic about when it gets to those things
Hmm.
sometimes. And what I've learned is romance is when it comes to the romantic relationship stuff, you're fulfilling a fantasy,
Yeah.
which, if you sit there and think about it, is no different than if I decide to go to a strip club. I'm fulfilling a fantasy. It's no different if I decide to watch porn. I'm fulfilling a fantasy. It's no different. It's no different if I also just want to read. Like, I want to have a good romance story, whether it's clean or wholesome or down it, whatever the case may be, whatever floats my boat, right? Um,
Why shame
there,
someone for what they want to read?
well, not even just what they want to read, for their own fantasies. It's healthy to have fantasies,
Hmm.
right? It's better you have an outlet for those fantasies than having none and people thinking it's reality.
Uh, yeah. And sometimes people just, especially during this whole pandemic, entertainment is value.
Mhm.
I think people have found um, just how much value there is in a book, in a podcast, in music, in television, in having Netflix or Hulu or anything of that nature. Entertainment is value.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, so, okay, so we gotta get a whole list here. So you're a romance
Okay.
author.
Yes.
What genres do you want to tackle? Like, what's the craziest thing you want to write?
Craziest thing I want to write. I want to write something that is paranormal. I can't let myself. Um, at this time, I haven't been able to create that world. To create those different rules for a fantasy or a paranormal or science fiction. I haven't been able to let go of this physical world and its rules and regulations and stops and just be able to dive head first and write like the worlds of Game of Thrones or Star Wars or Star Trek or even any of the simple paranormal fantasy, the simple ones where they only throw in just a little bit. I can't seem to let myself break the rules of this earth to write it yet.
So, hey, have you ever read Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Parts of it.
Oh, okay, it's okay.
The
Listen,
answer is 42.
actually, I wanted to bring 42 up in particular. I bet you
Okay.
it was actually what I wanted to bring up. I bet you don't realize that 42 did not originate with Douglas Adams.
It didn't?
Nope. Most people don't know where it actually originated, but believe it or not, Alice in Wonderland's where it originated. The idea of 42
Oh.
is actually there. It was there first. So I got this. So because I'm doing Alice in Wonderland's Greek mythology, I have this wonderful book called The Annotated Alice, which you can see right here. This is what I've been using as this is my Alice in Wonderland research. It's got Good Looking Guys and Lewis Carroll. But the cool thing is, there's all these cool like little notes about different things Carroll wrote about, and you can see the cultural references of the time. 42 is in that book well before Douglas Adams did. Now, the cool thing about 42, it's also in technological stuff as well. And the idea is 42 can be anything. That's the actual meaning of 42. It's anything you imagine it to be, right? So for you, Miss, I'm just gonna call you Miss Gangster from now on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's there. You're okay with this, so we're good with this. Like I like being a gangster. So Miss Gangster, here's the thing, okay? The secret to opening yourself up. If you find yourself hitting that wall, you know what you need to
Yeah.
say to yourself?
42.
Just give it like a
Seriously.
mantra. 42. Push for. And if you can't break through that day, that's okay. 42. The next day, you try again. Say 42. You could try to push yourself a little further. If you can't, that's fine. 42. Go back. Next day, try again. And what will eventually happen, eventually, right? This ain't a race. This really isn't a race. It's about how you can grow. It doesn't matter how fast or like that doesn't really matter.
Right.
Right. What matters is you're trying. And eventually you'll turn that very, very so one of my favorite Chuck Jones cartoons is about a straight line trying to impress a chick. And what he did was he eventually made himself curve. It's the Chuck Jones story. It's a very short piece. It's like 7 minutes. He didn't get the girl he wanted, but when he curved himself, he changed everything about him when he did that. And the moment he did that, he saw possibilities he never did. What you're trying to do, see, is you're a straight line. And you're used to thinking in certain straight lines, and there's nothing wrong with the straight lines. Now you're trying to curve yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay if the curving takes a little time. It's okay. Just remember, when you get stuck, mantra 42.
42.
Just mantra up the 42 and imagine as hitchhikers or imagine as Alice in Wonderland, right? You're going down the rabbit hole. 42. If it doesn't work, 42. That's your way out. It's your way in and it's your way out. And eventually, it'll come to you. It's a thought.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. If my advice means anything, Miss Gangster, that would be the advice I'd give you. Give yourself permission to imagine, and don't beat yourself up if you can only go so far. Right? You have other strengths, and those other strengths are incredible. I mean, you raise two kids on two sides of the spectrum, you're automatically a badass. You would have been a badass even without. You would have been a badass even if you were just a mom. But I mean, the fact is, you've learned patience and compassion and empathy in probably ways very few of us ever have. So look at the strengths you do have and do those better than anybody else because you can.
I like you. I really do. are a phenomenal human being.
I try. I certainly have my flaws. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Nobody is.
I just see. I look at it like this. Most of us spend our whole lives trying to seek permission to be something but the secret is, see, and I learned this a long time ago. You don't need permission to be you. You're already you. So instead of trying to, seek permission, and the cool thing about being you is you can reinvent who that is time and time again. Life's unfair. But the beautiful thing about that is that means every day you can begin again as someone else or as anybody you want to imagine yourself to be. And then once you do that, the trick is to let yourself imagine what that is. And give yourself the freedom to go, what if? And be okay with your straight lines. Some things won't bend, but that's fine. You don't need to bend them all.
Oh, trust me, my lines aren't all straight.
Oh, I definitely. Hey, listen, you're a man, right? I already know that. That's okay. But what I mean by that is the conventions you've taught yourself.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean. Is your conventions you've taught yourself. It's okay. It's okay to have them, and it's okay. Just acknowledge that they're there, and then you go, okay, let's see how far I can bend them and break them. Right. You'll be able to bend some, and some you won't be able to, and that's okay. It's not about the cool thing about growth is growth can happen in a zillion different big ways.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen in a lot of small ways, right? The trick is just give yourself to grow. Let yourself be the gangster you've always imagined yourself to be. Joe Rogan gives this advice, and it's great advice. Be the hero of your own story. So, you're right. Just be the hero of your own story and tell yourself that you can do it. And even if it doesn't have to work out the first, listen, I don't know about you, but the first time I took the training wheels came off my bike, I fell on my ass. Yeah. It's okay.
Many skin knees.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's okay. If you're not afraid to get your ass kicked and you're not afraid to succeed, that's also a dangerous thing. If you can go both ways, you can become anybody you want to be eventually. Trick is you gotta be willing to go through the bumps. Pain is part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
But it can also be a lot of fun too.
Authenticity is key.
Yes. And as you can see, I don't really know how to be any other way. That's my good and that's my bad. Right?
That is I'm going to say it again. Fantastic.
Yes. Yes. That's pretty much what I try to be. Like, I don't, I've learned not to worry about what I can't control. And I feel you got there. You figured this out. I'm just going to be me. So I'll let you know. So we've had a great little chat so far, but I want to, since this is my last one, I'm kind of going all out here. So I'm going to let you know a little secret. When I'm 80 years old, I'm jumping out of the plane. And then
Really?
Yeah, 80 years old. I got nothing to lose. I look at it like that. It's like I got nothing to lose. If the chute don't open, I had a fantastic life. If the chute opens, I might need a nap and a new pair of underwear when it's over.
Oh my God, but doing that at 80.
Why not?
Wow.
Christopher Lee cut his first rock song at 90. You don't ever stop living. Ever. Do you know like a mentor of mine, we're not friends anymore, unfortunately, but he had a really great line in his story once. It's okay, we all have to grow up, but we never have to grow old. Who cares? It doesn't matter how ridiculous it is. Hell, maybe at 60 I work at McDonald's. Fuck it. Right? You want fries with that? No. If they fire me, who cares? I've lived 60 years. Right?
You can say I got fired from McDonald's.
Yeah.
I think we've all worked at McDonald's at some point.
Yeah. It's okay. Hell, I might have to work at it next year. It's okay. I'm good with it. Like I really am. Right? It's one of those things where I'm like, if I have to go back to school and be a broadcaster, I might work in a fast food restaurant. It's possible. I'm okay with that. I might work at a Tim Hortons. It's okay.
Ooh, Tim Hortons,
Mm-hmm.
yum.
Oh, we got a Tim Hortons fan here.
Yes.
Usually, you guys are Dunkin' Donuts guys down there, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
Timbits.
You like Timbits?
Timbits.
I
Oh my
still do.
god. I was introduced to Tim Hortons and Timbits when for a very brief span of time I lived up in Canada. I
Okay.
moved up there when I was 18. I can tell the story now because she tells it and it's her story, but she's given me permission now. My best friend was had just had a baby, and the baby's father held a knife to her throat while she was holding the baby and said that if he couldn't have her, nobody was going to. So I dropped out of school, quit my job, took all the money I had, packed them in my car, and moved them to her sister's up in Unionville.
Okay.
And I just told everybody I was fucking off, didn't want to go to college, you know. But I was introduced to Tim Hortons and really, really nice people in Yonge Street in Toronto, and oh, oh, just the gas works, and I just had rock and roll heaven was around then too.
Mm-hmm.
In the Easton Center. No, Easton is in Columbus. What am I thinking of? It's a great big white building, but rock and roll heaven was a part of it. And the subway and just the culture. If someone says they're Italian, they were from Italy. It was so different
Mm-hmm.
to go from small town Ohio up to Toronto and or metropolitan Toronto, and yeah, that's where my love of Timbits came from. I got sidetracked on
No, it's
up
okay.
there, but
No. This is what the podcast is. We're having a conversation about anything, and everything. Not bad with no prep, huh? Just like, hey, let's just go. Let's just have a conversation, right? But I mean, it's cool. Like for me, Tim Hortons has come to the states up in the northern states, southern states, not so much. I don't think it's ever going to breach. There are lines Tim Hortons can cross. I feel, but not. There's some things that's just never gonna break. Dunkin' Donuts is still king down there, which means the coffee's brutal. The donuts are better. So it's kind of one of those like, if you had to go on the road, it's like, what would you choose out of everything? It's like second cup. I have access to one, but if I can't get access to a second cup, it would be if I'm hungry, Dunkin' Donuts. If I want coffee, Tim Hortons. If I have money, Starbucks. Starbucks is a cult everywhere. But yeah, you get the idea, right? It's one of
yeah.
those things where So it's interesting. So here's a question for you. Since you're in Ohio right now, would you move back to Canada if you could?
Yes,
Yeah.
heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. My friend is in the Niagara. She's in Niagara Falls now, and I visited her not too long ago. Well, I say not too long ago. It was 2019. 2020's only gone on for 5 years.
It's an apocalypse. I mean, it takes a sweet ass time. It's just the way it is,
Oh
right?
yeah, I would move up there in a heartbeat. I love it there. Love it. I love the the. I even when they first brought in was the GST,
The HST now, it's actually worse.
HST. It's worse.
It's worse. It's pain.
Oh, well, I was there when it was first voted in.
Yeah. No, HST sucks balls. It really does. It's basically the government's way of, hey, we take more money off everybody now. But look, no place is perfect. Our government wants our money. That has always been the case. Down there, it's you're just as guilty, maybe even a little guiltier. That's a coin toss. That part is actually legitimately a coin toss, right?
But you guys get health care.
I know. We get health care.
And your
Um,
subway system is a lot cleaner than some of the ones that I've seen in the States.
I can't argue that. And our greyhounds are less scarier than yours. I know from experience.
Yes.
I know from experience. So, I'm well traveled. The thing I love about the States, this is the thing I like. I mean, for all the flaws, here's the thing I really love about the States. You guys have great platforms to get people out there to talk about their stuff. I learned how to sell in the United States. I would never have gotten that crash course in Canada. Where Canada needs to learn from the States is appreciation for the talents of the people it has here. We go to the States to make money. We would never go to the States if we could make money here.
Mm.
That's the unfortunate reality of Canada. But that's the one thing the States does really well. They understand that people have value and bring valuable things out. And while I can't say they always compensate fairly, that's we've had so much fun in this conversation. I don't really want to get into like anything deeply serious and cerebral this time. But I will say though is this: the platform to present yourself. There's a lot more of them there, and
Mm-hmm.
you can definitely make an impact there in ways you still can't here. It's easier today because of the internet, but
Right.
that's the states is great at that, and Canada could learn something from that. But that's the only really thing. The other things you're saying about, like I said, the subway. I have scary Greyhound stories I could tell you about because I could tell you. My family's in Detroit, so I could give you horror
Oh
stories.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes, I know because you go from Windsor to Detroit.
Uh huh.
Oh.
There are similarities between both cities, and suburbs are suburbs. Here's the thing: suburbs are suburbs everywhere. It doesn't really
Yeah.
matter what city you live in. If you're in a suburb, you're in a suburb. The
Mm-hmm.
the 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 charm, and I'm going to use that term kind of loosely in some places, um, varies. There are neighborhoods in Detroit I can't walk down the street in. I can do that pretty much everywhere in Canada. All right. Pretty much. There's a couple, but the thing is, there's a couple here, and sometimes some of your cities it's a couple per city or more. So that's it. But the thing I do love about Detroit is the downtown has some prettiest buildings I've ever seen, like the old style night like buildings that have been there forever.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really cool story there, and I think even through everything it's been through, you can still find it there. I can't speak for some of the other parts of the city, but downtown, it's like I can see the old city halls, the old buildings, especially if you go down Lafayette or Michigan Avenue, and it's Detroit has a really really cool history, and
Mm-hmm.
still actually has a very cool culture even to this day. And
Detroit also has the trash brats, or had the trash brats.
yeah, oh yeah, sure,
Oh,
sure,
it's a band, a punk band.
yeah, punk music, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so punk,
Well,
so
they weren't really punk. They were glam punk. They had their own genre. They were the
they're
genre of the trash brats.
Detroit has cool music. Detroit really does have
Yes.
cool music. So there's a little soul there, right? So that all said, all right. So 2021,
Yes.
apocalypse will at some point in 2021, I think, go at least as we know it. It might evolve into something probably still weird, but
It's still weird. Yeah.
yeah, probably still weird, but not me. Hopefully not as weird. hopefully we move like on the spectrum. We go a little bit more towards Ray Bradbury than George Orwell. That's my hope, But we'll see. Time will tell on that one.
Yeah.
But that all said, 2021 is coming up. Life goes on. You're a gangster. So how are you taking over the world next year?
Well, my word, because I come up with words, my word for the year of 2021 is trust. Trust in the universe and trust in myself. So I'm going to trust that I'm going to make an impact with the art that I put out into the world. That's
cool.
what I want to do.
And my word is shine.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, shine. No, so I don't. So for me, this whole time, I realized we were quite in an uncertain dark period. So when the 2020 began, and like it went out when it began, but when this started, the thing I was reminded of C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis during World War II read what would become Mere Christianity on the radio while the Nazis were bombing England. He didn't do it like when it was safe. He did it during like the heart of it. And on one hand, you're like, well, what good did that do? It didn't put bullets in the chamber. It didn't protect everybody. But upon reflection, I realized that was one of the most powerful forms of rebellion you could do. Life goes on. If you can create joy in an environment where there's very little to be had, you can change the whole world around you. The cool Marianne Williamson has a beautiful quote about it's not our darkness we fear, but our light. But we should shine as children do, because the moment we do that, we give people permission to shine as well. And I really love that whole idea. I really do. And I think C.S. Lewis embodied it. So that's when I started reading on the podcast and inviting other people to come and read on the podcast as well. And it's evolved since. So I don't say stay safe anymore. I personally don't really believe in safety. People may disagree with that one. But the reality of the situation is the world is dangerous every day you wake up. And it always will be dangerous every day you wake up. So what I say instead is keep shining in the darkness. Because the thing is that light you project to the world really does matter, and it really does change people. Yeah. I get the feeling that you came out of this conversation, I'm not going to say happier in what you're doing than when you started this conversation.
Okay. Can you repeat that for me one more time?
I think you came out of this conversation happier about what you're doing.
Yes.
When you started this conversation.
Yes. Very much so.
And because I'm just me. And I'm just shining and being as authentic as possible. And it has encouraged you to do the same thing. And you will go out and be authentic and be yourself and be the gangster you are. And you're going to encourage other people to do the same thing. And on and on and on. We don't get out of this being safe. We get out of this being joyful.
Yes.
That's the way out. That's the true ticket out of this. It's not, this will pass. Whatever this is will pass. What's important right now is that we don't be cruel to each other. We treat each other as good as we can. Try to be benevolent about what's going on, because this is not in anyone's real house, no matter what anyone will tell you. The fact of the matter is that things will change again, and it'll be like this. And when it does spin on that dime again, we'll go in a completely different direction. And rather than think about the scars we've done to each other in terms of anything we've said about each other, it's better to reflect on the joys we gave each other in this time, because that carry a lot more weight coming out than coming in.
Yeah.
So shine.
All right. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yes. It's a biblical concept. I thought it was very appropriate. John 1:5 is where I got that, in case anyone was wondering out there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Very nice.
I feel like I did more talking than you did. And I don't know if that was, but did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot, and I'm going to take what I've learned and apply it.
Oh, good. I taught something. That's cool.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
You did. You have this phenomenal presence, and thank you. Thank you for blessing me with it.
Oh, now I'm gonna blush. Now you're gonna make me blush. I'm just me. I'm just me. I'm not anything else. All I do is be myself and let the world be the world.
There
So,
you go.
Miss Carlie, so you got anything coming up? Anything releasing soon?
Right Reasons will be releasing on March 13th, 2021. It is the follow up to Wrong Number. And it,
All right. So how about we do this then?
yes.
This is what we do. You talk about wrong number. Then you talk about book two. Then you talk about where people can find you. Right.
Okay.
All right. And then I'll wrap the whole show up.
Oh, Wrong Number is, to sum it up, you take two lonely hearts, add one wrong number, sprinkle in a dash of rock star, shake it up, and there you go. You've got the steamy emotional story of Jason Talia in Wrong Number. And Talia is a nursing student who has closed herself off from the world pretty much. And this one wrong number turns her whole world around. And it turns out she ends up meeting Jace Warner, who is a rock star. Surprise, surprise, that's where that comes in. And it's it's just, I wanted to write a very complex relationship story, and this was the one that I came up with.
How a wrong number can change your life. Okay. That's
Yes.
cool.
And it part two is from the end of the last chapter to the epilogue of the first book. There's a chunk of time that goes, and book I suck at doing verbal
No,
flirt.
no, no, no. It's just okay. Again, same thing. That mantra. 42. Just go
42,
with
42,
40,
42,
42. Just
42.
go with it. Okay.
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 And book two is basically shows how their lives changed from the moment Talia left her world to go into Jace's world. You're talking leaving all your privacy behind, becoming a part of a couple that's in the public eye. Paparazzi are involved, and more than one person is against them being together, including members of his management team. And it just is how they overcome all of these obstacles. And just when they're getting ready to take that final step, of course, tragedy has to strike.
Ooh.
And that leaves Talia in the balance and Jace wondering where he's going to go from there.
Okay. So it sounds like that's two of more books coming down the pike as well. So it sounds like this is your series. So if you guys like rock and roll, a love story, this is your thing. So how can people find you?
My website is thatonewriterchick.com, and my books can be found on Amazon, iBooks, Kobo, Barnes and Noble. But they, most people, when they're looking for um, books, they go to Amazon. That's where my paperbacks are, is Amazon. And also at the bookstore right around the corner from me.
Yay!
That's the best part.
Okay, that's always a cool feeling, ain't it? So, do you have like Twitter, Instagram, any social
Yes,
media?
I do. Facebook is facebook.com/ that one writer chick, aka Carlie. Instagram is the same thing. Twitter is really Carlie. I can't figure out how to change it, so it's stayed really Carlie for a while.
Really, Carly. I mean, at least it's yours, right? So, and anywhere else you can find yourself.
Goodreads. Um, Goodreads is that one writer chick, aka Carlie. Surprise, surprise. And Amazon is amazon.com/authors/Carlie Yates.
Carlie Yates. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carlie Yates. This is Josh Pendoresco. So I got a couple things to say. And Carlie, if you mind sticking around, you're more than welcome to stick around for all this stuff. So this is the official end of all my live interviews this year. Now, I might have a couple surprises in store next week. Who knows? Maybe I'll do a random drink and draw. I might play video games. I don't know. I'll come up with something next week. But what I wanted to say to everybody else in this holiday season is, first off, anyone that's watching, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I appreciate everything you've done. If you want to support this channel, twitch.tv/justjoshingpodcast. Click on it, subscribe to it, follow me. I'm on YouTube as well as Joshua Pentoresco. If you want to support me financially, I have a Patreon page as well as, my books, Cloud Diver and Owl Zero. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. I will see you guys January 4th with Swati Chavda for sure. But beyond that, be good to each other out there. And thank you guys for making this an amazing year. Thank you for Carlie for coming on and putting up with me for an hour and a half. And take care, guys. All right.